Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. The Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 141, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zachy Hassan, and I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, what's going on, Zachy?
Not much. You just got out of Black Panther.
I did. I walked out of the theater, walked back to my place, and got on the horn with you here.
That's what I call dedication. And speaking of dedication, we've got with us somebody who's already seen Black Panther twice.
What? Huh?
I'm talking about Aaron Neuwirth.
It just opened a couple hours ago.
Well, that's even more dedication, Brian. And Aaron is here from Out Now with Aaron and Abe, a show that I have been very privileged to get. And Aaron is making his sophomore appearance on our show. Welcome, Aaron.
Hi, thank you for having me back. I feel honored to be back at the second time. I've been a sophomore for a while.
Well, and this one, I mean, you reached out to me. You were like, hey, when you talk about Black Panther, I want to be part of that conversation. I was like, done deal. Let's make it happen. So
yeah. I'm happy you accepted the challenge that I threw down, and Zachy, you're black adjacent. I think that's fair enough to say. And,
blackish. Does that?
Blackish is more me.
Okay, fair enough.
So you're black adjacent. I think that's fine. Brian, what are you doing here? I don't like.
Yeah. Brian's the token white guy.
I had a great time.
You're the Martin Freeman of this podcast.
That is so true.
Well, promise made, promise kept. So here we are, and as we do when we start out, let's talk a little bit about things that we have seen lately. Aaron, why don't we start with you? Any new flicks you've seen, or recent revisitations of older movies? Anything that you think people might be interested in hearing about?
I've got a trifecta of films I want to address, and I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. First is Early Man, the new Aardman animations film.
Yeah, Nick Park.
I'm a big fan of Aardman. Wallace and Gromit is certainly my jam. Curse of the Were-Rabbit, their feature-length film, is brilliant, and I always smile when I remember that it was an Oscar winner, because that's great. That's so nice. So this one, it's focused on cavemen, and it happens to be a sports comedy. Have you seen it, Zachy? Did you go?
I haven't yet. I missed the press screening. Yeah.
So it's a sports comedy, which I didn't see coming. It's about football essentially, or soccer, and it takes cavemen versus the Bronze Age era people, and you have Eddie Redmayne on the lead caveman person named Doug, continuing to show me that Eddie Redmayne apparently has a lot of voices, because between Jupiter Ascending and Stephen Hawking and Fantastic Beasts, it's this guy's got I never know which way to look with this guy. Apparently, he's always doing something. And then you have Tom Hiddleston, Loki himself, as the evil Bronze Age person, and it's fine. It's not up to the level of some of the best Wallace and Gromit skits, or I haven't seen Chicken Run in years, but I think Chicken Run's probably still a better film. But for Aardman animation, the stop motion stuff and everything, it has such a great British charm to it as far as how the humor works and just the niceness of those kind of characters. So it's in the it's been a crazy good early year for family films. Paddington 2 is fantastic. Peter Rabbit was surprisingly entertaining. So it's okay, this Early Man also pretty good.
So far so good. Wow. Yeah, Peter Rabbit I was also going to see, but I don't know. I'm actually surprised to hear you say it's okay, because I heard such a visceral negative reaction from so many people. I was like, all right, well, do I want to spend a Saturday morning on this one? I don't know. So I took a pass.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one I'd say you have to race out and see, but compared to the trailers, it's much more. It's not Smurfs.
Okay.
Right.
It's much better than for Sony Pictures animation. It's much better than that.
I feel like that should be a stamp of quality, not certified, not Smurfs.
Yeah. But enough of that. The other two things I want to get to, because this is awesome. It's an amazing week for Criterion, the Criterion Collection.
Yes.
I am a fan of Criterion. I happen to get to I'm honored to get to review a lot of Criterion Blu-rays, but this week was a great one for horror films, because we got both Night of the Living Dead and Silence of the Lambs, and I rewatched both. I hadn't watched Silence since Jonathan Demme died, because I knew that this Blu-ray was going to come at some point. And so finally, but I have watched Manhunter quite a few times. But so finally getting to watch Silence, not only was it like, oh, this is great, I finally get to watch, Jonathan Demme's masterpiece, but my goodness, is that movie great.
Really
Silence of the Lambs is such a perfect thriller. It does every performance is just on point. The setup of like so many different sequences are so memorable or is fantastic. The writing is great. The cinematography is great. The way that shows you Clarice, the perspective you have, the way it reveals things about Lecter and Buffalo Bill. It's just such a great movie, thrilling to watch. And the new transfer on it for this Criterion is it just looks impeccable.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
And speaking of impeccable, Night of the Living Dead, which is just one of the granddaddies of horror movies.
So this is on the way to me. I ordered it yesterday from Criterion, so I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
This movie, it turns 50 this year.
Amazing.
It's this is a cheap zombie movie that the first like quote unquote zombie movie, because it's the one that defined what zombies are, essentially. You had zombie movies before that. That was all voodoo stuff. This is like what people tend to know as zombies. This is the movie that George A. Romero put together. But it's this like cheap, B movie from 1968, and it looks spectacular.
Really?
Like they had, George A. Romero, before he passed away, R.I.P. George Romero, he supervised this transfer along with like the producer and the sound engineer and what have you, along with Martin Scorsese, who happened to oversee the whole thing. And they went to town to make sure this thing looked as great as it possibly could. Like, especially because it's it's Night of the Living Dead, and this when you start to see the outdoor scenes, and having seen this movie tons of times on TV and on DVDs and whatnot, I know the difference here. This is as clean as it's ever looked. It's just phenomenal. So even if there weren't extra features, and there are a lot of great extra features to go into on this one, just having this new transfer of Night of the Living Dead is fantastic. It's a fantastic movie. Still very relevant if you know anything about the film and how Romero was able to kind of insert social commentary, sometimes not by design and sometimes just because that's the way he wrote, but it's a great movie all around. Even if you're not a horror fan, it's a great movie, a great tense, claustrophobic film. And if there's any way to see it, these Criterion discs are the way to go.
Well, I've been planning on an episode of Nostalgia Theater later in the year, doing a commentary track for Night of the Living Dead. And hey, what the hell, man? I'd love to have you do that with me.
Oh, I'd be very happy to join for that one.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Or you can look for that come October.
Yeah, and if Zachy forgets to invite me again, you listeners, you drag him on Twitter.
That's on the record.
This is the record. So there we go. So that's your trifecta, Aaron?
Yeah, that's my trifecta.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I've got Night of the Living Dead coming, so I'm really looking forward to watching that. I figured I'll watch it with the kids, make it family movie night. Give them a dose of reality. How about you, Brian? What new or old titles have you visited or revisited?
Well, I'll start with the older one, but this past week, for the very first time, I watched Barton Fink.
Barton Fink.
That's all I can think about on The Simpsons when the kids are telling Bart, we're sneaking into an R-rated movie. It's called Barton Fink. I mean, I already knew the joke because it's, a Coen Brothers film, but seeing the movie, I kept thinking of it throughout. It made the joke funnier and funnier. But man, I really enjoyed this movie. I had people recommend it to me, and it was one of those things, like I do have a running list when people tell me something and I throw it on there, and this was one of those ones where it actually was on cable one night and I was like, that's on my list. So I DVR'd it, and I mean, just very briefly, I'll say I really loved it. It's very surreal, and you're trying to, in the middle of the film, you're like, is this a metaphor? What's the metaphor? Wait, maybe this is real. No, this can't be real. And then by the end, it just goes, off the rails in the most amazing ways. And I just really, really enjoyed this movie. So it's one of those ones I can't believe I missed all these years. So have you guys seen it?
In a collection of Coen Brothers films that are, all generally excellent, give or take a few, their final shots tend to be pretty masterful. Yes. And Barton Fink has an amazing final shot, just the way it kind of lines up with the rest of the film. I love Barton Fink. It's one that you have kind of the obvious Coen classics like Fargo or Lebowski or No Country or what have you. And Barton Fink's one, that and A Serious Man, actually, they keep kind of climbing the list in my mind every time I think about what the best Coen Brothers films really are. Because Barton Fink it has everything that's, there in a Coen Brothers film, and it feels like it operates on another level. Just as speaking as like a writer and just one that appreciates the weirdness that they deliver in cinema. It's one that just really works for me.
Yeah, there's so many things in their films and in this film in particular that in the hands of other people could possibly push you away or push an audience away. But there's something like so many hooks that they have where you just like are so riveted with what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on and just the details. And there's so many, like you say, with The Final Image, but also just so many things I'm going to remember about this movie and just so many lines. I don't know. It's particularly now that I am working as a writer. Part of me was like, why am I subjecting myself to this? Where it's about a guy being tortured for 2 hours about being unable to start a script. But yeah, I really enjoyed that and wanted to shout that out. And then I also saw a more recent movie. I finally saw The Florida Project.
Oh.
Which is one I just kind of missed the past month. But this was one of those instances where there was like a ton of hype for it. And then come, Oscar time, it feels like it got snubbed, say for Willem Dafoe. And I was a little worried that the hype might have been too much, and I was just in for the ride, and we'll see what this is all about. But I was really floored by this movie. I didn't really even know what it was about, and I don't even know that you can necessarily spoil it. But it's really just about these people that live in a rundown hotel. Right beside Disneyland, and it's like the contrast couldn't be greater with these people who are living these very, lower class lives, having to look in the distance at people who are at the happiest place on earth, and it's seen through the eyes of these children that basically run around and do whatever they want, and sometimes it can be little punks, but other times it can be very sweet, and I was really amazed at how many times during the film I was reminded of feelings I haven't thought about since I was very little.
Oh, how
like it
interesting.
reminded me of what it was like to be a kid and to have kid logic and the way kids see things through their lens. So have you guys seen this?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. I am a fan.
Yeah,
and I echo what you're saying, Brian.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a movie that similar to something like, say, like Lady Bird or Boyhood, where it's sort of slice of life, but it's told over a period of time, but it doesn't really matter how much time they're skipping over or whatnot. You're just sort of dropping in and dropping out and just following the emotional journey with these guys. And it's a crazy movie where you could be equally delighted by it, but also devastated. And yeah, so I was really happy I finally saw that.
Defoe is really good in that movie. Like, it's such a the way. I mean, we all know Willem Dafoe, and I think he's a terrific actor. But he certainly, he gets known for the quirkiness and general sometimes evilness of his characters. And this is just such a understated, friendly performance that. It just feels so natural, and you just get this great warmth from this guy who's not perfect. He's just trying to do a job, and he has one of my favorite scenes of last year, involving the child molester that he basically runs out of the place. Just the whole buildup of that sequence, I think, is just wonderfully done by Sean Baker.
Yeah, down to that amazing shot actually when the two kids are standing on the table and the camera's kind of low and Dolly's passing. I was just like, ugh. Like, it was just, just so many different emotions in that movie, and just amazingly realized by Sean Baker.
And you get Caleb Landry Jones not playing like a creepy guy or like an asshole. Like, you just get like
I know, I thought that actually. Yeah.
Like, when I first saw it, I didn't know he was in the movie, so like the credits are going. The credits, by the way, I find to be hysterical because of. Especially after the fact, after you see the movie where it's going, it's just like it's playing Celebrate, like, as the theme song for the movie. But at the end of the credits, it's like, and Caleb Landry Jones, like, oh, what kind of like greasy guys are going to play in this movie? And he comes along, he's like the nicest guy in the movie. It's like, okay.
I was about to say, between Get Out and American Made, he really found a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's wearing a shirt. It doesn't look like there's a layer of grease all over his body. This is a great turn for him. Between this and three billboards, it's working out.
Too, yeah. Two very
Twin
distinct
Peaks.
niches. Yeah, geez, that guy.
Yeah.
He played the scuzzy guy in Twin Peaks: The Return also.
Oh, of course.
Well, then finally, I just wanted to mention this. So one of my coworkers had never seen Star Wars. And all of us at the office, of course, are fanatics.
And making fun of this guy on a daily basis, I assume.
We were... She is a very, very sweet person. So we were trying to be gentle, but also firm. And so we're like... We are scheduling, and so I should say at our office we have a really great screening room, sort of like smaller size, but it's a really nice screen, really good sound, 2 rows of seats. So like, well, we have to watch this, and I just wanted to say I've talked to some people about my age who've seen Star Wars for the first time, and they're like, I see it. It didn't work on me. Maybe you just had to grow up with it, but I kind of get it. So, but we were like, hey. No pressure. Just let's see what you think. So the lights go down. We start the movie. I'm getting caught up in it again, like falling in love with it all over again. And mind you, I've probably seen it like 2 months ago anyway. But then when I'm wrapped up in my own thing. But then when Alderaan blows up, we hear a gasp, and it's from her.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So we all started looking at each other like, it's working. And she was laughing at C-3PO and R2-D2. And then at the end, spoiler, when Obi-Wan sacrifices himself and Vader cuts him and he disappears, she actually leaned forward and covered her mouth. And we were like, unbelievable. And when it was over, she was just in love with it. She was enamored. And we I guess I should say I'm not surprised. The only reason I am surprised is because I've heard stories contrary. But it's just a great movie. And it was so cool that it worked for her. And the funniest comment she had at the very end, we were sort of talking about it and the credits were going. She saw the credit for Mark Hamill and she goes, Mark Hamill's in this? And we're like, yeah. And she's like, the voice actor?
Wow. That's hilarious.
She doesn't know Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. She knows him as the voice actor.
That's amazing.
Well, it's great that your 13-year-old intern really got a,
right.
Right?
And then so right afterwards you're like, now watch this, and you put on the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, that was kind of the joke. But no, we have Empire penciled in. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
well
it was
done.
super fun.
Well done.
I mean, the reaction's not surprising to me if you are into the I've can't count how many times I've watched Star Wars, but I get to the what's Luke gonna do here? Then Han comes in. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like you get that excitement builds if you're in the moment. Like it works.
Absolutely the trench run, the tension, all of it. Like when it's silent, and then when Williams kicks back in, and then when it's all over and Luke deboards his X-wing and everyone's got. I mean, Han is like freaking out, happy, which is we've never seen the entire movie, and it's all earned. You buy all of, and you buy their relationship, and it's. I mean, it goes without saying, but it just totally holds up. It's such a great movie.
And that's why it won Best Picture in 1977. That's what we talk about, right? That's how it happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Take that.
And the radio flyer took flight and everything was okay.
What did win Best Picture that year?
Annie Hall.
Annie Hall, that's right. Annie Hall, yeah. All right, well, there we go. Well, congratulations, Brian.
I did a good thing.
We
did. I gotta give credit to my coworkers too. We did a good thing.
you did your good deed for the week.
What have you watched, Mr. Hassan?
Oh man, so in the last 2 weeks, so I'm teaching an alternative cinema class, and the great thing about this class is I got to basically select my own films as far as what I want to screen. So what I've been doing is kind of bouncing back and forth between things that are extremely alternative and then things that are maybe just slightly off the beaten path. So for the first 3 weeks of this class, I started out I threw them into the deep end and I showed Run Lola Run as our first film. And the truth of it is I haven't seen that movie the whole way through since it was in theaters, so just about 20 years ago.
Oh.
And man, I mean, Brian, do you remember watching that in the theater?
Oh man, that was when like movies were really starting to. We were like branching out.
Yes.
And seeing new things and being delighted and excited by them. And I remember Run Lola Run was a big part of that for me.
I mean, Brian, for you and I, that was around the time when we first met. I don't remember if you and I watched that movie together, but certainly it was indicative of, like you said, this moment where, you could feel yourself being like, oh, like I can watch these kinds of movies and enjoy them too.
Yeah, like there's more out there.
So that was fun. I mean, Aaron, when's the last time you saw Run Lola Run?
It's been a few years.
Yeah.
I have it on Blu-ray. Fun fact: my lovely girlfriend Anna, she had to watch. She was a film major, and she had to watch Run Lola Run like a lot.
Okay.
I don't know the exact details of the story, but I do know she's basically sick of that movie. She has not. I don't think she's watched it in a number of years at this point, but I do know that she's very. It's like, all right, I've seen this enough times for whatever project I had to do. But no, I'm a big fan of Run Lola Run. I think it's the editing style of that film and Tom Tykwer's direction. And Tom Tykwer, by the way, I always want to champion him. I mean, I think it's
sad that he I don't know if he's ever really matched Run Lola Run in terms of like something that's had the same kind of popular acclaim,
Certainly not that extent. I mean, Cloud Atlas between him and the Wachowskis is something that I know a lot of people consider special. I think it's a really ambitious film that I admire quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like the one guy that really liked the Tom Hanks one, A Hologram for a King, that happened
which I haven't seen that, but yeah.
It's perfect. Like, it's not like amazing, but at the same time, it's like, this is just a nice adult drama with Tom Hanks. Like, no real qualms with it. But like, was it the Perfume movie, The Story of a Murderer? That movie is wild, and it's nowhere. It's nothing like Run Lola Run, but it's just like he has such an interesting visual eye that clearly. I mean, he had other films before Run Lola Run, but that was the one that broke him out, and. Right. It's always one that made me think this guy could be going places, and it's just never. Yeah, like you said, it's just. It's never quite taken off in that way, but Run Lola Run. I really like Run Lola Run a lot. The soundtrack is great. That's not a throwaway comment. It plays so heavily into the movie as far as the kind of momentum that's building and why this German techno needs to be very much involved to keep up the pace. But it's great. I'm a big fan of it.
It's interesting because watching it with these students, the overwhelming majority of whom have not seen it, and I'm reading their journal reactions, and almost to the one, every single one of them is like, "What's the deal with her screaming?" Because if you watch the film, there are moments where she's got this hypersonic like mutant power where she screams and like shit's like breaking and everything, and it's weird because in the context of the film. You're like, is it something that exists in this hyper reality that the other characters are not aware of? Well, no, because they're responding to it. And so hearing these discussions, and I'm like, hey, whatever, y'all, like whatever you want it to be, But it's really fun, So so the week after that, I showed Good Will Hunting.
Ah,
and
it's not your fault.
And not a single one of them had seen Good Will Hunting.
I thought you say not a single one of them were concerned with the screaming.
Right. So they loved Good Will Hunting and had a great conversation about that. And then just this week, 2 days ago, I showed Brazil.
Brazil.
And the preferred Terry Gilliam cut, not the Love Conquers All Baudelarized studio version. And here's a movie that, man, I'm like glancing out at them periodically, and I can tell, I haven't gotten their journals on this yet, but I can tell it's going to be split right down the middle. I know that there's going to be people who just adore it, and then there's going to be people who are just wiping their ass with it for a page and a half,
That'll be fun to read.
I'm looking forward to that because I think that's going to make for a really interesting conversation. But I have a feeling Brazil's going to be one of those movies that, even if it doesn't appeal to them initially, I think it'll stay with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because certainly for me, I saw Brazil first time in high school, as I recall, and it left me very perplexed, when I first saw it, but I kept going back to it. So I have a feeling that's going to be a similar thing.
Brazil's one where I caught fairly late in the game as far as being like a film guy that
sure.
mostly that's like one of the ones where not recently, but I certainly crossed it off my shame list later in the game than some others, and it comes after having seen, digested, and loved things like 2001 or Blade Runner or like various Tarkovsky films. So it's like I was primed and ready to see like Gilliam go wild in sci-fi, and that movie is brilliant. Like I immediately responded to just everything he was going for, and just put it right away on my favorite movies list. It's like, this is just fantastic all the way around. Jonathan Pryce is so fantastic. I love the gung ho-ness of De Niro, and just the world of it. And I've seen, I mentioned Cloud Atlas, I mentioned Cloud Atlas. I was going to say, Jupiter Ascending. You can just see so much influence in like these big sci-fi movies and how they want to bring in like the bureaucracy, because you just get that it's a Brazil homage, and it just works. It's just such a unique world. And I was going to say, you really can't. What I like about Gilliam is you just can't remake or redo or sequelize his films. That said, 12 Monkeys has a successful TV series on Sci-Fi, so what do I know? But I mean,
but it's very different. I mean, that show went off in its own direction,
Mm-hmm. But aside from, and that's like his most commercial film. So like aside from that, and it's great too. It's a brilliant movie. But aside from that, the films of Gilliam are just so one of a kind. And Brazil is certainly one that I'm very happy it's among these kind of cult favorites that are considered kind of modern classics to a degree. Given the kind of troubled history it had to be made and released and get some kind of audience.
Time won out when it came to Brazil, because history has made its has made its case for that movie above and beyond whatever Sid Sheinberg tried to do to butcher it. Brian, have you seen Brazil?
No, I haven't.
Oh well, no,
that's one of those ones I have it on a shelf.
There you go.
One of those shelf films, like what I talk about, like the stack.
The stack, yeah.
Yeah, which actually I wanted to ask you. So, how do you choose your curriculum? Just between Brazil and Good Will Hunting and Run Lola Run, like
it's a big dartboard that he.
Well, so the way I set up my syllabus in terms of what I was going to show, I looked at the specific topic areas that I wanted to cover throughout the year in terms of screenwriting and different roles behind the scenes, etc., editing, narrative styles, etc. And then I looked for films that were evocative of those themes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, stuff that I like, stuff that I maybe haven't seen in a while, stuff that I think they will not have seen.
Right.
And so I try to balance that. So like, next week we're doing editing, and I'm showing Baby Driver.
Oh, right.
I thought you were going to say JFK. I was like, I'm ready for this.
How not to edit, yeah.
Both fine examples of editing.
Right. Well, I would love to show JFK, but the problem is, it's just so long that I know. But truly, I would love to share it with one of my classes. But so Baby Driver next week, and then the week after we're doing like satire, and I'm showing RoboCop.
Oh, nice.
I rewatched RoboCop pretty recently. That movie is so good.
It is. Brian and I did a commentary track on it last year for the 30th anniversary, and I watch that movie just all the time, and I find new layers to it. So that's an example where I know RoboCop front, back, and sideways. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with these kids and getting their perspective on it, because it's going to be, it's a movie I'm fairly certain the overwhelming majority of them will not have seen. So how will they perceive it,
I talked about Barton Fink being like the Coen brothers, like just a great ending shot. RoboCop might have as good of an ending shot as Barton Fink does. What's your name, son? Murphy.
Yep.
Credits.
And that's it. And that was the end of the RoboCop series.
Yep. Nothing ever happened ever since then.
That was the last we ever saw of RoboCop. Oh, and by the way, I want to thank. Oh my gosh, this was somebody on Twitter heard me mention my new obsession with Hot Toys, and Brian, you were like, well, is there a Hot Toys RoboCop? And I was like, I hope not. And so somebody on Twitter was like, hey, Zachy, check this out. And yes, and now I own a Hot Toys RoboCop. So F you, Twitter.
You're like Bleeding Gums Murphy with the Fabergé eggs.
Dude, I'm like a crackhead. I'm like, what's his name? Rufus Biggums or whatever, that Dave Chappelle character?
Oh, right.
Tyrone Biggins.
Tyrone Biggums. That's me with these hot toys. Toys. There's a couple car payments tied up in these toys,
Right.
But I got it, man. Dude, this RoboCop is friggin' amazing. It is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life, ever.
I have to, next time I'm at
Including
your
my
place.
children.
Yeah, just as beautiful.
Yeah.
You mean including young Murphy Hassan?
That's right.
I want to see one of them in person because I've seen them on their website and they look astounding, and I'd really love to see even the texture of the clothes look amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brian, definitely the one I thought about wanting to show you is the Keaton 1989 Batman.
Yeah. After you'd mentioned them to me, I went and looked each of those up to see what they look like. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy. I mean, they come with eyes that you can turn their eyes.
Is there an instrument?
Yeah,
Or a
there's
tool?
terrifying.
Yeah, it's friggin' crazy. I mean, basically the back of the head pops open, and there's a thing that you basically there's a little dial, and so you can have you can turn the eyes to the right or to the left. Yeah, I mean, like Aaron said, it sounds terrifying, but it looks amazing.
That'd be a good way to mess with your kids.
It would be, right. Batman's watching
Wasn't he looking to the left?
You bring it out. Hey kids, want to get nuts?
Yeah. So that new RoboCop is pretty sweet, and those are the things I have seen recently.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we do have a little ad break coming up, but before we do that, why don't we tackle some listener letters here real quickly? So this is from Brent Clark, he who hosts the DC TV Squadcast and also Fans Without Borders, and he asked via Twitter, shared universes, on the whole, do you prefer them more or less than comic movies that are walled off from each other? So, Aaron, I will throw to you first. What are your thoughts on shared universes, especially now that we're coming out of a year where we had, 3 failed attempts at setting up shared universes?
So the question specifically on for superhero movies, or just in general the idea?
Yeah. So
the
Brent is asking about because in the long wilderness before Iron Man, even if you had movies made by the same company featuring characters from the same universe, they never acknowledged each other.
I had a funny thought about this the other day in regards to Darkest Hour. I was thinking any movie that features British royalty is automatically within the same universe.
The Dunkirk shared universe for
exactly. It's the Queen's universe. That's what I call it. It'd extend to her father and her great grandfather, grandmothers, what have you. Regardless, I mean, I have no issue with, in theory, I have no issue with the concept of shared universes. Though one doesn't make one better than the other. I mean, I can look at several MCU films that I find to be better than standalone superhero movies as a whole. I can look at, I don't know, we'll talk about Black Panther, but Black Panther compared to Deadpool, for example, which is, I guess that's part of X-Men, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if the universe being better than standalone movies. I will say, I think especially based on what we saw last year, is you can't just come out running out the gate thinking, let me make this movie in addition to having everything being set up in the same movie. I mean, The Mummy is the best example of that, where it's like, they went big with it, where it's like, let's have a mummy movie, but let's also have Russell Crowe in here to introduce the fact that he's like the Nick Fury of Monster World,
right,
and that there's going to be 7 other movies coming down the line, and Just You Wait, and Weird Answers, and whatnot. It's like, one at a time. Make a strong first movie, and that's what Iron Man was. That's what Iron Man succeeded in being. There was no, you have a Nick Fury tease at the end, but that's like pie in the sky dreaming right there. It's not like an assured thing that Avengers is going to be coming down the pike, 4 years later. So there's success. There's only a couple successful universes, and it's weirdly not the ones you'd think of. I mean, you can give or take what the DC universe is, how successful that's been, if you want to count money versus fan and critic backlash, but the ones that worked are the MCU, obviously, but also the Conjuring universe,
Right.
Which is largely because they are standalone films to their own point. I mean, the Conjuring 2, Annabelle, and Annabelle Creation. Obviously, some of them are sequels to each other, but the Annabelle films, they don't really have much to do with The Conjuring necessarily. Annabelle Creation, by the way, a very solid horror movie. It's not breaking any new windows open, but that's a new expression. I mean, not breaking any new windows open.
I was gonna roll with it. Yeah, sure.
It's not opening any new.
I was like,
yeah. But I mean, that's an example of one that's not reliant on like setting up multiple characters and storylines or what have you. It's just existing on its own, and it happes to be within, some kind of frame. The other one is Kong Skull Island and Godzilla.
Right. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Which you and I, Brian, are you a Kong fan? Are you on the good side?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
you one of the good ones, Brian.
Where Kong is, if you stay for the credits or you just understand that Monarch is a thing that was in Godzilla, you get that they're in the same world, but it's not reliant on you seeing Godzilla to know that Kong Skull Island matters in some way bigger than just itself. So it's a long-winded way of saying you can make this universe thing work, but I think the importance should be placed on the film first and whatever you want to do second. And sometimes it's a studio thing, sometimes it's a filmmaking thing. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2, for example, was, I think, unfairly maligned because the world building was really more of here's all these announcements in the news versus what's actually in the movie, because what's in the movie is really like here's 5 minutes at the end that maybe say there's going to be something else coming down the way. But meanwhile, when that movie is opening, you have Sony and Avi Arad, Spider-Man's greatest enemy, announcing 6 spin-off films and a Sinister Six movie and a Venom movie that's actually happening now, and I'm perplexed by this, but
which we'll talk about in just a second.
And I think that drowned the narrative. I think that really did, the amount of advertising for both Spider-Man and movies coming after Spider-Man 2, that really hurt that film more than the quality of the film. You can debate the merits of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I probably like it more than you do, speaking to the listener, but at the same time, I think it got kind of knocked out because of everything else being talked about as far as where things could go from there. Meanwhile, MCU's just, it's doing its thing. And especially after Iron Man 2, these movies all have these connections to each other, but they're fairly, like you could walk into Thor Ragnarok and pretty much be set with what Thor Ragnarok has to offer. I don't think there's much there that you need to be fully aware of beyond, even the previous Thor movies. You can pretty much get what's going for.
Sure.
Guardians is the same way. I mean, it's just like it's so tangentially connected.
Well, I mean, and some are connected to each other more than others.
Yeah, some like the Captain America films are basically the 0.5 Avenger films, like they're the midway points. But
yeah,
I mean, it's not. There's clearly a proper way to handle some of these things, and the following the model of the MCU isn't necessarily the way to do it. It's more about, hey, let's make a great film first and then go from there.
I posted this on Twitter a few weeks ago where I remember in 1995 seeing Batman Forever. And here's Bruce Wayne, like Dick Grayson is like about to take off, and Bruce Wayne's like, "Where are you gonna go? The circus is halfway to Metropolis by now." And that was enough to be like, "Metropolis, Metropolis, Metropolis," and bouncing off the walls. That was our shared universe back then. That's what we had, and we liked it. Damn it. And now it's just funny because to me, everything after that is gravy. I'm like, you know what? Justice League, maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. You know what? Doesn't matter. Because back in my day, Bruce Wayne said Metropolis. And that was enough.
I had my moment.
My moment.
It'll be neat to see where things are a decade from now or 20 years from now when you have all of these movies and it's like, are people still thrilled by the novelty of seeing characters like this together on screen when presumably not just Marvel but every other studio kind of got their shit together and was like, hey, we can find a way to do this properly. I'm a huge King Kong and Godzilla fan, so like the concept, and I know there's already a King Kong and Godzilla movie, but like the idea of seeing a new one of these,
yeah, sure.
And my dad also is very excited about this. We're both big fans of these these characters in these movies, and so it's like we're seeing new versions of this. It's like, yeah, that thrills me. Like I've seen this we're going to talk about the 18th Marvel movie at this point. I'm not bored of Marvel, and my God, we'll talk about Black Panther and why I'm just probably, if not more, invigorated by Marvel now.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of these movies. I haven't seen King Kong and Godzilla face off in a while.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna
What's funny though is, and I think I said this on the show, like when I first heard the announcement of Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever the hell they're calling it, I was like, all right. I was like, okay, well, I can kind of see I can imagine what that's going to look like in my head, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess. And then I watched Kong Skull Island. I'm like, I want to watch Godzilla versus Kong tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really gets to like the most important thing is you got to make sure you're making solid progress with each entry rather than with this entry over here. We're already planning for 5 movies down the line, which is I think the mistake that both the DC folks did, and then to an even more absurd degree the Dark Universe people did, where with the Mummy they're like, hey, 5 years from now we're going to be doing this Monster Mash or whatever the hell, It's funny too because I mean that Dark Universe has just gone down the memory hole.
Yeah.
What's annoying? Like I was excited about that. Like in theory, like not necessarily,
right.
But because it's like, well, we're always. I mean, the Universal monsters are from the 30s, and it's not like there's only one of those movies for each character. They've been remade over and over again because people generally like those characters. So if you're going to give me new versions of that, sure, do it. Right. I wish the Mummy was a lot better, but the idea of seeing like new takes on Bride of Frankenstein and I guess inevitably the Wolfman, but Invisible Man and what have you, and then presumably some kind of modern take on Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. They have all these characters. It's like that, or whatever they came up with.
Right.
That sounds neat to me. And especially if if you have Tom Cruise in one of these, that just means you're going to get a lot of really good actors to be in these movies. That's a neat way to go. It's just apparently they forgot to do the due diligence to make a really solid first movie.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, and Brian, this is we talked about it last summer. I think the most baffling thing about that was how the hell did Tom Cruise wander into this catastrophe?
I really, really wonder. I would love to read his book someday and read that chapter. I don't know.
Because he has made
what he thought it was going to be.
I mean, I'm hard pressed to think of a Tom Cruise movie that's as much of just a total cluster than this one.
Yeah.
It's like it's a direction thing. What bothered me, not that I need to defend Tom Cruise, I'm sure he'll be fine, but it's like people were coming out of the woodwork to blame him. Like there was a hit piece in Variety or whatever, and it's like. No, Tom Cruise, the guy that's a very involved producer that makes nonstop, legit good movies that are generally successful, especially in the Mission Impossible era. It's like, no, he's not the one that's the problem here. He's not. They're talking about him running the show and making crazy decisions. Like, this is not the Tom Cruise we're aware of. I don't know what guy you're talking about, but it's not him that's the problem. It's maybe the guy that made one other movie that's nothing like this before and is suddenly jumping into blockbuster world. It's like, yeah, okay.
That's true. Moving on, we have one more email, and this was sent by Imran to moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com, and he says, can you please do a commentary on Blade Runner? And no, the answer is no. We will not be. No. Hey, maybe. I don't know.
I will plug on Out Now There and Abe. We did do a Blade Runner commentary.
Well, there you go.
If you want to hear more of me monologuing along with other guests, there's that.
How recently did you do that? I'm assuming to tie in with the new one.
Yep, the month of last October.
Okay. So there you go, Imran. So jump over to Out Now with Aaron and Abe, and that'll scratch your itch. And speaking of scratching itches, let's take a little break for ad time, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back, and we're here to talk some trailers before we get into headlines. So, 2 new trailers we're talking about here. Aaron mentioned it earlier. A brand new Spider-Man spin-off movie coming out. When is this coming out, actually? Do we know?
October 5th.
October 5th. I'm talking about Venom, the Spider-Man spin-off minus Spider-Man. but starring Tom Hardy. Let's play some of the audio.
Everyone's got their thing. Maybe it's a breakup, a death, an accident. Whatever it is, you used to be one thing. Now, you're something else.
So, Brian, the backstory here is that I added this to our list of things to talk about, and you're like, oh, yeah. I guess that's it dropped like 4 days ago, and you instantly forgot about it.
Wow. Was it really 4 days ago? Or whatever it was? Because it feels like 2 weeks ago. I don't. Whatever.
It was not 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you that. It was no. You know what? It was
like last Wednesday, maybe.
Okay. It was like a couple days after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing kind of because Sony's like, guess what's dropping tomorrow? The first Venom trailer, and then the trailer drops, and everyone's like, is that it? You know?
We were all Thursday. It was last Thursday. We were all excited. I mean, seeing a poster for it, we're like, "Oh, cool! That thing's gonna." And then, it happened. It's like, "Oh boy!"
And it's weird because this is a conversation that Brian and I have gone back and forth on because Brian, I mean, if you'll permit me to speak on your behalf, I think you're not particularly enthused for this movie.
No, and I thought it looked competently made.
Yes.
And I don't even mean that snarkily. I mean, it looked like there was that really cool shot where the cars were crashing and he's on the motorcycle. I was like, that's a good shot.
Doesn't that feel like the generic superhero movie shot now? Where you have the two cars like flung into each other? Doesn't it feel like that? Kind of like...
Maybe. That was the only thing I remember from it. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. But I don't know what the hook is to grab someone like me who kind of knows who Venom is. Like, I didn't really grow up reading, these comic books. Like, there was nothing for me to... Like, they I think you pointed this out on social media somewhere where you were saying they are really going all in on you. Like, they don't even say Venom in the trailer,
No,
do they?
it's V. It's called V.
Yeah.
It's either a remake of the TV show V or some new character that Tom Hardy...
Which they are doing, by the way. I don't know if you know. They're doing a movie version of V, of the 80s, of the Alien Visitor V.
Okay, because they remade the show on TV.
That was terrible. No, but this is with Kenneth Johnson is going to be like the guy who created the original.
Huh.
Yeah,
how about that? That's going to be confusing for those Tom Hardy fans.
But they're basically they're going all in on Tom Hardy. They're just like,
what else do you have to sell? Michelle Williams wig? Like, what else is there to be like? Hey,
but that's the weird thing because yes, I agree that Tom Hardy is. I mean, of the selling points, he's probably high up there. But what else you have to sell is the character he plays, who at the very least has a pretty distinctive look.
Yep.
So
it's baffling the trailer that they chose because Tom Hardy, as much as we like him and people at random will be like, oh, that's that guy that was in one of those movies I saw. He's not an opener. Like he's not it's like, okay, yeah, he was in The Revenant or Dunkirk or I guess Bane, but people, I'm trying to think of like the average person that's going to walk into Inception. I'm trying to think of like the average person that walks into Black Panther this weekend and sees this trailer. What are they going to think?
Well, he's the guy from Star Trek Nemesis. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah, but like, where's their what do they come out thinking with that? Like, I love seeing reactions to trailers on the big screen when I see like films of an audience because you get a kind of like a sense of what people are thinking.
Yeah,
and that just feels like one that's going to be like a silence, silence after you see that screen. Like, actually, Brian, you saw the movie today. Did you see the Venom trailer?
Did they show the Venom?
It was not. No, it wasn't.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, because I'd be very curious.
But it was. I don't know what the hook of those 2.5 minutes. What it was supposed to be that was supposed to make me think I have to see that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so strange.
It's a nothing trailer, and Sony should have, especially because it's not like it's coming out on the same day as Solo, which just started its marketing campaign. It's coming out in October, and you should have something to show. Like, if the effects aren't finished, I don't need to see Tom Hardy doing a voice. Like, that's
right.
not gonna. That's not making me like. again, speaking as like average person, not me that likes is a really big fan of Tom Hardy and understandably likes superhero comic book movies, but like as a random person, like what Riz Ahmed? Like what's happening? What's going on?
Well, I mean, you mentioned Avi Arad being like the real villain in terms of Spider-Man, and I mean this thing has been like his passion project for years.
Yeah, it's his spider. It's his giant spider. He's the John Peters in this scenario. This is so inside joke, but John Peters is a famous Warner Brother executive
but kudos,
who wanted like a giant spider in a Superman movie, and then he got into Wild Wild West. Now we have Avi Arad, who apparently just wants to cram Venom anywhere he can, so he like ruined Spider-Man 3 with it, and now he's finally getting his own spin-off movie with Venom, so he can get that out of his system, I guess. So like whatever. But
so is there any clarity about what, if any, connection this has to Spider-Man?
They're in New York.
Can they do that? I mean, he can't pop in, right?
Well, what I read is that Tom Holland does some kind of cameo. Am I wrong about that?
That's a rumor that's going around, that Tom Holland might have a cameo, which, I mean, it's a movie about Venom, so I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, we had a whole Catwoman movie with no Batman, so what do I know?
This is true. Okay. Well, kudos to Sony for somehow finding a way to steal defeat from the jaws of victory. I don't get it. So that's coming out this October. Coming out more closer than that, I think, is Cobra Kai, the TV series that Brian, you and I talked about last August, the Karate Kid sequel series. Let's go ahead and play some of that.
I just don't know why you'd ever want to bring back Cobra Kai.
We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak.
You may know the moves, but none of that matters unless you have balance.
Are you ready to learn the way of the fist?
Yes, sir! Johnny, you and I, we aren't done.
Okay, so this is I don't know when this thing is premiering, actually. Let me look that up.
Just had it up. Oops, sorry.
It
doesn't say.
It premieres in 2018. Okay, well.
Here we go.
Okay, so Brian, we're at 58:20. Okay, so Cobra Kai is coming to YouTube Red at some point in this year, and Brian, this is something you and I talked about last August, and as I recall, like we talked about it like the morning that the news broke, like the timing worked out, and I was enthused by the prospect. I said, this sounds clever. A comedy sequel to The Karate Kid makes sense to me, and you were being uncharacteristically un-Brian-like. Brian?
Well, I think there's at least in the first and second movie, there's, comedic elements to it, but it's a very sincere type of movie.
Agreed.
And
Sure.
I wondered what it would be like if it was like going to possibly laugh at itself, if they made a comedy series in that world. And I couldn't picture it in my head what it was going to go for.
Sure.
So like, would it line up in the universe that I have fallen in love with when I was a kid, or would it be mocking it almost?
So what do you think?
That was my slight hesitation for it.
So what do you think, having seen the
I've seen the trailer. Well, it didn't have as much of a comedic tone as I expected,
Yeah,
or maybe
me
it
too.
did. I didn't pick up on it.
Is it to clarify, because I know very little about this? Was that like written in that it was going to be like a comedy take on this, or is that just like an assumption?
That was how it was like when the trades first reported on it. It was a 10-episode half-hour comedy.
Okay,
Right.
maybe they're generalizing a bit as far as what was being pitched or something. I can't say.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
well-
even the people involved behind the scenes, it's like the guys who wrote Hot Tub Time Machine and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean,
what'd you guys think?
So having just watched this and not being all that aware that this was happening, I think I can vaguely remember some instance of this last year, but now I see a trailer. I mean, if it is going for comedy, I get, regardless of who's involved, I could inherently see how you could turn it that way if you're making kind of a 10-episode series about like grown-ups that used to do this thing and now they might have kids involved in this thing or something. Like I can see an inherent way to make a I can see the inherent comedy coming out of that kind of situation while still having a kind of level of sincerity as its backbone, like that, like the stakes of this mean something, but there's still, you know, funny things to come from the concept of two people that grew up doing martial arts and now they're, you know, like fathers and what have you. That's, I mean, and I mean, having Zabka
Yes.
and Machio back, not that they're, you know, extremely busy elsewhere, but like that's that's cute, I guess. Like it's nice that they're, from what I can tell, scandal-free guys over the years, having grown up in this industry and everything, have come back to do like these iconic roles in some way. But yeah, like Brian, you were saying, like the first and second Karate Kid, they're legit good movies that you know, they're coming of age stories and sports movies at the same time, and I really appreciate that about them. Like there's a reason the first Karate Kid was, you know, a multiple Oscar nominee. It's because it's a legit good movie in the realm of Rocky. And yeah, if you're making a TV, like I wish it well. I guess I'll probably never see it because I'm not one to watch YouTube shows. Not out of snobbery.
You don't subscribe to Logan Paul?
not out of snobbery. Just more of I don't have an Apple TV. I don't tend to watch things on my computer, and I have tons of things I could be watching or doing. So it's like I can't make too much room for random Karate Kid spinoff series in my life. But you know, I would hope for the best for fans that are definitely engaged to see a Karate Kid spinoff. The fact that the Hot Tub Time Machine writers are behind it doesn't exactly give me the biggest hopes, but you know.
Well,
you
know what? I like what I see so far. It looks like it'll be fun. I think it'll be something a little different, and that's. I think it's clever, you know. I've said this before, you know. I think the genius of the original Karate Kid is making you look at this high school karate tournament and think it's the most important thing in the universe. And that's brilliant, because the truth is, if you take just one step backward, you're like, wait, what are we getting all worked up about? It's a high school karate tournament. Who cares, right? But when you're in it. Yeah. Say again, Aaron?
No, keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, I was saying, when you're in it, like when you're in high school, that's how. I mean, there's nothing more important than that. There's nothing more important than impressing the girl or whatever, right? But when you're in your 30s and 40s, then obviously you have enough distance to be like, well, that was obviously a silly thing to get so worked up about. So I hope this would tackle it in that way, where you can find humor in it while still acknowledging. While still finding room for the sort of the sincerity of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, Aaron, I think you might be starting this thought, but I was going to say, you are absolutely right when you take a step back at the tournament and you realize it's just taking place in a gym where, you know, like a bake sale might be happening next door. It's kind of funny. But at the same time, the movie does take the feelings of those characters very seriously, and it is about, you know, a teen finding self-respect and learning about honor and all these things. And I do think those things are handled not over seriously, but seriously enough where it's like, well, yeah, those are like very genuine feelings. And so I kind of don't want it to mock that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought of it too. Like, guys, I think the Karate Kid story, it's a well-written kind of story. The backing of that film makes so much sense to me as far as why I respond to the characters involved. I mean, I've joked about this before, but something I really like about the third Fast and Furious movie, Tokyo Drift, is that it is the exact plot of Karate Kid, but with cars. Yeah. It's Karate Kid with cars, and that sounds silly, and it has Bow Wow driving a Hulk car, but the backbone of that movie works for me because it is about essentially a kid getting bullied, learning something, and succeeding in the end. And that's why I like the remake too of Jaden Smith. I think that Karate Kid movie, which shouldn't have been called the Karate Kid, but regardless, beyond getting a fine Jackie Chan performance and I guess the one good performance from Jaden Smith, I think that movie works because it's so it's such a universal idea of like, no, bullies suck, and training to do something successfully is great. Having a mentor figure in your life is great, and working to be, get a positive outcome out of something and make something new. Like there's just so many good coming of age themes coming from such a somewhat silly story that still works overall. Like there's a lot there. So yeah, I'm not going to spite the concept of Cobra Kai because I think there could be something clever coming out of it. But at the same time, I agree with Brian where it's like I wouldn't want that, especially for people that are growing up that haven't grown up watching Karate Kid. I wouldn't want someone necessarily to have the impression that this has always been some kind of goofy thing. And I don't necessarily think Cobra Kai is going to go for some kind of goofier take on the same story. But I mean, in a world where is going way broader than we need to, but in a world where cynicism reigns a lot and mockery is very prevalent, it'd be nice to get some genuine things coming out of our coming of age, family friendly entertainment.
Yeah, and I really do. I am rooting for it though because I think it's cool that they are both back. I mean, that adds authenticity to it. And if they hit that sweet spot and really do find sort of this dad comedy later in life, reconnecting and also butting heads again, but also do find they can weave that sincerity throughout it. I mean, that would be magical. So I'm rooting for it in that way.
Yeah, and when are we getting the My Cousin Vinny YouTube spin-off series? Like that's what really
fingers crossed. Moving on, Brian, I hear some music, so I think that means it's time for Star Wars news.
Do you hear it, Aaron?
I do now, and I love it.
All right, Brian, what do we got?
Well, for people talking about the Solo film coming up, saying, this is so unnecessary. Bring Lucas back. Come on. Well, it looks like Lucas may have been planning on making a Han Solo film even before the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney. So put that in your hookah at the cantina and smoke it.
So this is kind of interesting. But you know what though? This is. Does it not strike you as a little bit calculated that suddenly we're getting all these stories about, George Lucas showed up and he just directed a whole thing, and then Harrison Ford's been helping out behind. I mean, doesn't it seem a little bit calculated to you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm still enjoying it.
I mean, look, I'm bought and paid for. I've been defending this movie from the word go, and I'm still on board. But it does seem very funny to me how the rollout has been Harrison Ford has been like an angel on our shoulder, just every he's there to offer his advice, And
it's funny because you go ahead.
You can look at this and see the strings, but at the same time, the production beyond the obvious director change and the news that made, it's been so secretive mainly because of that I can see what Kathleen Kennedy and others are trying to do here now that they can actually show you footage and get you excited for this movie. It's why would you? I don't think these are untrue things, but I just why you wouldn't want to hide this fact either if you could help. If people like us can see through it, sure, but at the same time, random people on the internet that are clicking on articles that say Harrison Ford was really involved and George Lucas came by the set and had some ideas, that's just positive buzz. That's creating a narrative that's going to be oh, this is in good hands because those people that were involved in that thing are coming to do this other thing. It works more in the film's favor than not by knowing some of these things, I would say.
I would even say it worked on me to a degree where I know Harrison Ford takes his craft very seriously, but it seems like he's been in past years a little dismissive of Star Wars and whatnot. And hearing him say he passed on, here are my thoughts on Han Solo. I was like, wow, Harrison Ford has thoughts on Han Solo. I never thought about it, and I'm like, what was he, everything he's done, he seems to take very seriously. It's what was he thinking? I would love to know his personal opinions and backstory and whatnot that he's had about Han that he apparently passed on to Alden Ehrenreich. So that really did oh, cool. It got me.
I mean, for Harrison, for one thing, he's had that attitude forever. He's been an angry old man since not angry, a grumpy old man since he was a carpenter.
Yeah.
But I think it's less of him like being dismissive of Star Wars and more of just he treats everything like a job. He treats it like a blue collar thing, and so it's like the idea of tackling the umpteenth fans, Star Wars question doesn't thrill him. Like he'd probably be happier about, if someone brought up like, hey, Mosquito Coast is pretty good. Like he'd love to talk about that because no one asked him about Mosquito Coast, I'd imagine. So it's like now he's in this position where he comes back to Star Wars. He gets rave reviews for his performance as Han Solo, which I think is his best performance as Han Solo in Force Awakens, movie aside. I mean, which I do like, but I do think is, Harrison Ford's grown as an actor over the past decades. Sure. And the fact that he got to, play a meteor take on Han Solo and die finally, since he's wanted that. I mean, he's invigorated because he doesn't have to keep playing this guy. Like he can be more relaxed about the idea and everything because he can pass on information to like a new ingenue and what have you. Like it's refreshing, like you're saying, Brian. Like it's refreshing to be like, oh, cool. Like it's nice that Harry's around to talk to Alden.
Whenever Alden Ehrenreich needs it, he can pick up the phone and he can hear.
It's great that this 6'5" older gentleman can talk to a scrawny little Jew about how I'm Jewish, by the way. I can say that about playing his character. It's wonderful.
And Alden Ehrenreich's like, yeah, that makes sense. But what else? Now, Ron Howard talked about George Lucas just randomly directing something.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I mean, it reminds me a little bit. I'm sure that happens all the time that we don't really know about, but it reminds me of like Steven Spielberg directing a scene from The Goonies,
sure,
kind of a thing, and that sort of stands out in that film, that moment. And I just wondered what that was about. That did strike a little bit more, like you say, like sort of a story, like like Lucas's fingerprints are literally on this film. But I don't know, it's cool. That's about it.
Well, it is cool. I mean, because Lucas is pretty shut off from all of this. Like, but Ron Howard is like a great friend of his. I mean, he starred in his second movie. I mean, like, and there was a good time when Ron Howard was going to direct one of the prequels. Like, that was a big thing that was going on when Lucas was coming back to these and everything. So it's nice to be like Lucas is around and active in this as opposed to quietly spiting the fact that Disney is doing everything they can with his thing. Like, I'd rather Lucas be positive about the experience than negative.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Howard talked about how Lucas was basically he just planned to stop by, and then next thing you know, it's like 4 hours later, and he won't leave, I guess,
Well, it reminds me of the stories of with Scorsese and Spielberg and Coppola just hanging out, and Spielberg doing like some of directing a scene from Scarface and with De Palma and stuff. It's just like, yeah, these are guys that are just like old friends that have been in this business forever and have plenty of advice for each other. Like, I'd love to hear more of that as opposed to like how sad or mad or somebody is about like not getting their directorial vision properly represented. Sure. Like, what about the guys that just like hanging out with each other because they're old filmmakers?
Yeah, I like to picture that scene as Lucas walks on set and he goes up to Ron Howard and he's like, I just want to stop. I'll just be here for a couple minutes. I just want to walk through. And then Ron Howard's voiceover is like, he didn't just walk through.
Yeah, right.
He was here for 4 hours.
Meanwhile,
is that movie being shot on film?
That's a fun question.
That would be really fun for Lucas. Like, well, I don't know, what the hell is this?
I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, it seems to be their MO recently until people stop asking.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see. Hold on. Because these two have been right. The Jedi and Force Awakens. Rogue One was. But I mean, the prequels were digital. I mean, the two of the prequels were digital. I mean, Lucas was all about that.
But it seems like the marching orders since Disney took over has been to move as far away from the prequels as possible,
and line it up as much as they can
with the original ones.
Well, now I'm trying to think of Howard, like, because what was Heart of the Sea? Because that was Dodd Mantle shot that one, and it looks great. But I'm trying to say,
I don't know.
Trying to think of Howard.
Strikes me as a film guy, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
celluloid.
Those terrible Da Vinci Code movies.
While we try to puzzle that out, why don't we take another break, and then we'll come back and talk about Black Panther. And we're back, and Black Panther is in theaters now. As we record this, it is Thursday, February 15th, and audiences have been watching Black Panther for the last several hours, and at least based on social media, the reception certainly appears to be quite rapturous. Now, last time we talked, Brian, the prognostications were saying something like 120 million for an opening weekend, and I was saying I think it'll be 150, and that's been kicked up even further. I think they're saying it's looking at 180 to 200 million dollars for an opening weekend. Wow. In the middle of February. I know. Who'd have thunk, right? Amazing. So this is I remember 2 years ago exactly, Brian, you and I and our old friend Sean, we were hanging out in Big Sur, and that was the weekend that Deadpool opened. Do you remember that? Oh yeah. And as we were hiking up the mountain, I kept pulling my phone out, and I was like looking at the predictions for Deadpool's opening weekend keep going up by the hour. This feels like a repeat of that, except that it's going to open at an even bigger scale than that. So I have seen it. You've seen it. Aaron, you've seen it twice. Mm-hmm. So as we tend to do, let's offer our non-spoiler take, and then we can dive in to a more fully spoilerific discussion with just a little bit. So Aaron, you are the guest, so why don't you start us out? Tell us your thoughts on Black Panther, having seen it twice.
Well, non-spoiler wise, it was weird to see Michael B. Jordan decapitate Black Panther and then throw his head. Overall general thoughts on this movie is fantastic. I think it is top tier Marvel. Ryan Coogler is a filmmaker I very much admire. I was a huge fan of Fruitvale Station. I really love Creed a lot. And so just the idea of him, like, his next project is Black Panther. It's like, good. Well, yeah, do that. And then as, the years go by and the film's getting further in development, you get this phenomenal cast with Chadwick Boseman, who was great in Civil War as an introduction to this character. And then on top of that, you stack in Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan, Martin Freeman, Daniel Kaluuya, Angela Bassett, like the list goes on here, and it's just resulted in this wonderful movie that is not, it's not changing what superhero movies are as in terms of like plotting or what have you, but what it's doing is introducing a new angle to these movies, a new approach to them. You have something like Thor Ragnarok, which I really like. But that's at the point where Marvel's literally taking the piss out of itself, because it's like, all right, we've done two of these Thor movies and we have 16 other Marvel movies. Let's just make a straight up comedy that kind of pokes fun out the franchise formula. That's all well and good, and I really like Thor Ragnarok, but here's one that actually makes me feel refreshed by this. And I'm not one that has superhero fatigue or anything like that. I like seeing these movies. These are fun movies to see. But here's one that feels fresh in its own way. It's going down its own direction. It doesn't feel indebted to the rest of the series of the MCU. It feels like its own standalone thing. It does what it needs to kind of fulfill the Marvel requirements. And while I can nitpick some of those things, because in a franchise like this, you just can't get past some of the problems that it's going to present by trying to kind of fit it all into a mold to some degree. But why I can look past that is the fact that it's just this great representational movie. I'm speaking as like a mixed black person, a black critic, and I'm not gonna. I say this in my written review on WeLiveEntertainment.com, where like I'm not gonna lie and say like, man, I've been waiting for my entire life for Black Panther to come out and have a movie or whatever. It's not true. I like the character. I'm familiar with him. I have some comics, but it wasn't until like Avengers where I'm like, we can really see a lot of these kind of smaller characters get their own movies, and now we have this Black Panther movie, and it speaks to what I want to see in these kind of movies, where it's going beyond white guys named Chris. It's going to new territory, and it's not just great because hey, there's black people in it. It's great because it's really doing something with that. It's not just saying we can cast these people and put them in a movie that fits like the other movies. It does do that, but it also incorporates the culture. It's a movie about Africa, a fictional nation in Africa, no less, but about Africa, about African culture and what that brings to the world. You see these great designs. You see this great world building here. You see the nature of these tribes. It's all inspired by real tribes and nationalities and what have you. And it all feels, it all feels great. It all resonates well. It's otherworldly in a positive way. The portrayal of Wakanda is such a great thing to see. I mean, all of this just builds into this wonderful action adventure movie that has lots of inspirations, but lots of avenues for things to go down from the future from here. So I loved Black Panther. I thought it was just a great ride all the way through.
Brian, how about you?
I completely agree. The word that stood out that you said that I am completely with you is refreshed. I felt very refreshed with the Marvel Universe after this movie. And I am a little, it's like, I almost hate to say it, but like I am getting a little superhero fatigue. And it's not that I don't enjoy watching them, but I look forward to them less. They're more like, yeah, that's coming up and I will be there and I will enjoy it for 2 hours and I probably won't think about it again. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to have a good time, because I will, but they aren't sticking, or they're sticking less for me with a few exceptions, like Thor Ragnarok and stuff, because those really popped in a certain sort of way. But with this movie, I mean, in the middle of it may as well not have been a Marvel movie, but at the same time, it very much was. And that is, to go back to the listener letter portion, that's a shared universe, right? Like it's different. And I can enjoy this specifically for what it is, but it fits into this larger thing as well. And it got me really excited about the Marvel Universe all over again, honestly. So, I mean, I'm probably just going to repeat everything that was just said and that you're about to say, and then we can go get into spoilers. But I just thought, my brother and I, when it was over, he just leaned over and he's like, good movie, good villain. Or a good story, good villain, good movie. It's simple, and it's not always easy to do, but that's what we have here. It's a good story, good villain, it's a good movie.
Saki, why'd you hate this movie?
I don't know. No, well, before I even talk about my reaction, I mean, Brian, you were there with an opening night crowd, and that's not an experience that Aaron or I got to have. I'm curious, what was the temperature like in the room?
Now that you bring it up that you guys didn't have that experience, I think I'd like to keep it to myself. Okay. I'm just going to store it away in my heart. And no, I'm just kidding.
You're like Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. No, that's just for me.
Wow, good reference. Yeah. No, it was really fun. Like, everybody was really excited to be there, and everybody was applauding, for every part. Like, when it started, they applaud. When the Marvel logo comes up, they applaud. When it was over, everyone was applauding, all the actors, credit cards at the end. Everyone was happy to be there. Let's put it that way. And it was, that's another thing. A lot of times, to try to make this podcast, sometimes I'll catch a movie the opening night as early as possible, which was the instance for this. And it's like 3/4 full, maybe half full, something like that. And then the weekends when it takes off. But this one was almost sold out, and I barely got my seat.
Wow.
Which was really cool. And like the lobby was all abuzz, and it was, I mean, there was definitely like an energy there. It was really fun.
It really does feel like a specific kind of cultural moment, which I think is really awesome.
I'll add that, because I saw it. You've noted that I've seen it twice, and the first time I saw it, I was with my girlfriend and like a room full of critics. But the second time I saw it with my dad, who wanted to see it, and it was a mix of like critics and like general audience, and notably, because I think this matters a bit, I'm in LA, the LA area, so there was a lot of black people in the audience. Not that LA is the home of black people, but you know what I mean. Like, it's an area where there's going to be a lot of black people, and that was a crowd that really responded to the movie, not just like at the beginning and end, but like throughout the movie, at various character beats, various action moments. There's a part where Black Panther uses his kinetic energy and just blows a bunch of armies away or blows a car up, and there was applause happening. And there was a lot of like the fun kind of shouting at the screen type things for certain moments, and it was just like a really engaged crowd that I look forward to seeing what the results are this weekend, because that it was it shows me that there are people that are just with this movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because we'll get into this, but Black Panther, and I was thinking about this with the MCU. These are certainly superhero movies. I wouldn't really classify them as action movies at this point. There's action in them, but I mean, I think it speaks to what people respond to more by thinking of all the other things going on in spite of the action, which is occasionally pretty cool, but the interaction, and that's really what I think makes these movies work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, insofar as my own experience, I mean, I said this to Randy Myers, who's the president of our San Francisco Film Critics Circle, as we were walking out of screening. He's like, "What'd you think?" And I said, and he was just blown away by it. And I was like, I'd love to say I've been waiting all my life for a Black Panther movie, but for as much as I love the character, I was just like, we're never gonna get a Black Panther movie, like, And I feel like that with so many of these Marvel films, and I think the fact that we're at a point now where you can do something that is not only about the character, but it unabashedly embraces his world, and it depicts the Wakanda that Jack Kirby drew.
Oh yeah.
In the comics, like, to me, that's almost why it needed to take this long. Like, I mean, I don't mind that, because it's like, oh, why haven't we had this? Why couldn't they do this earlier, or whatever? And I'm like, I don't mind waiting if you get it right.
Right.
And they got it right. I mean, this is the character that I grew up reading, and that's, phenomenal. I mean, I've said this before, that I watched 42 in 2013, and watching that movie, I was like, he would be a great Black Panther. And 2 years later, he was cast, or however many years. And so, like, I've been wanting to see Chadwick Boseman, front and center as Black Panther. And the movie starts, we got Sterling K. Brown. I'm like, that's awesome, I feel like Morgan Freeman was sitting by his phone, like, they'll be calling eventually. I'm sure it's, like, I feel bad. He's like the one guy, him and Denzel are like the only black actors who missed the boat with Black Panther,
I was waiting. I've been joking that this movie's so black that I'll be surprised if Sidney Poitier is not narrating this film or something.
But I really loved the ding against Marvel movies, which I disagree with it, but I mean, it's out there, which is that they all just kind of blur together and they're all kind of the same. I mean, you can't look at this and say, oh, it's just like all the other ones. I mean, Ryan Coogler made a very personal superhero movie, and the stuff he's talking about in here, it feels like it feels of a piece with his body of work. When you look at Fruitvale, when you look at Creed, I mean, Michael B. Jordan is doing a lot of the same. He's playing a lot of the same beats that he plays as Creed.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a kid who lost his father. He never knew his father, and he's struggling with his identities. I mean, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
But why don't we get into some spoilers here? Well, before we dive too far down there.
Spoilers.
So I mean, big picture, I think the central point of divergence here is, the role of Wakanda in the world, and I think that's so interesting, right? This idea of how can we, as Wakandans, be living with all this technology and all this wealth, and yet there are the people in the world who look like us are suffering. I mean, that's a bold statement for a Disney superhero movie to be making.
It is. It's fascinating to have a lead character that has to deal with politics.
Yes.
In a superhero movie, and the fact that it's about a guy who's he's in Africa, and the Africa we see here is not the kind of stereotypical third world country beggars on the streets kind of Africa. It's a utopian society where the biggest problem is the tribes don't always get along a little bit. Meanwhile, they have like the best technology in the world. Everyone's healthy. There's a shot on the streets, like in a bazaar area, where everyone's just having a great day. Like they're just walking around, they're buying clothes, they're getting food. Nobody's like poor. There's no crime happening. None of that. It's just, this is Wakanda. This is great. Like everything's great. So the central dilemma, besides the coup staged by Michael B. Jordan later on, is, should we help the rest of the world out? Like we're cool here. We don't get oppressed in the same way everyone else. Like that is fascinating. I think that it's such a great handle on how to make this character interesting, in the same way where Captain America, because he's such a Boy Scout, you could. There's a lot of ways to make that not work. And somehow Chris Evans and the team that's been making those movies, it's made Captain America way more interesting than I ever thought it would be before seeing the first Captain America movie. And they've done the same with Black Panther, where he's just like this perfect guy he's a king, he's got everything he needs, he has the smartest sister in the world, smartest person in the world is his sister. All these things are going well for him until he has to debate, well, how do I make my country? What should I do with my country? Like, what should I do with my country to help affect the rest of the world? Should I do that or not? Like, that's great stuff. Like, that's great. That's a great back foundation to work with for this character and the world building of Wakanda.
Not just that. I mean, what I really appreciated was, King T'Chaka, who we were introduced to in Civil War. This film goes much deeper into him, and it doesn't sanctify him. I mean, it's a film about a mistake. Like, it's not a misunderstanding. It's a mistake that Black Panther's father made, and that mistake is what essentially sets up the entire central conflict of the film.
Oh yeah, I'm speaking generally, but yeah, as far as where it goes, like once the plot kicks in, yes, it becomes even more interesting than it already was. I think the biggest criticism people are going to have is that the first half or the extended first act of this movie is somewhat slow. I disagree. Anytime you're seeing a waterfall fight with a bunch of people in costumes, dancing around, I'm fascinated by what's going on there, but there's nothing story-wise that's really happening, I guess. But
to your point, I mean, it's all world building. Like, to me,
it is, yeah.
And it's stuff we've never seen in a Marvel movie, certainly. But above and beyond that, it's something we've never seen in a mainstream blockbuster like this. Period. Full stop.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
it's funny you say that. By the way, that the opening challenge. I was thinking that too when it was over. I was like, well, we spent a lot of time on that. And I know this movie is long. But I was like, oh, whatever. And I went with it. But I feel like it all did pay off in the end.
Yes. When
everything is revisited and what. And I was like, oh, that's why that's there. And I wouldn't change a thing. And, but everything was wrapped up by when you're first immersed in it and you're sort of taking it all in and thinking about everything. There's one way to think about it. I'm looking forward to my second viewing. I'm actually seeing it again on Monday with some other people. And I was really impressed with just what what I was saying sort of in the opening, where it's just I feel like there are certain beats that I come to expect from a Marvel film, and I just feel like I wasn't thinking about them in this one. It just felt like a different story. It almost felt Star Warsy to me, where you got this family melodrama, and like the third act, and I mean this in a good way, and like in the third act, you have 3 concurrent action sequences going on that have very clear goals that I'm all equally invested in. That all affect one another.
Yeah, the ending definitely felt like the right way to do the Phantom Menace. The third act of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Brian, what did you think of the cast overall? I mean, it's a pretty impressive lineup.
Yeah. No, I was really surprised. It's funny because I just recently watched Get Out. So Daniel Kaluuya, I was sort of like not ready to see him as a villain. I was like, no. It's,
he's not so much a villain. He's not a villain. He's more of
he becomes an antagonist of sorts.
Well, he's angry. He wants T'Challa to take care of business, and he doesn't. Then he sees this new guy coming in. It's like, well, you got the job done.
That was my one thought. Where because he's like, hey, I promise I'm gonna do this, and then T'Challa comes back and he's like, man, he got away, and Kaluuya is like, man, I believed in you, I'm done. Like, I'm like, give him a chance. He didn't say I let him go.
Yeah, I had the same thought.
I was like,
I actually want to ask a question now I'm thinking about it. So when Michael B. Jordan's character takes over and he's like, burn it all, and they were saying, well, that's kind of his military training. When you overtake something, you burn all the resources. But he wanted those resources, right? So he could.
No, he
wanted the vibranium. He just wanted to burn the plants, like the magical
heart-shaped herb.
The heart-shaped herb. Yeah, he was burnt.
And that isn't vibranium. That doesn't come from that. That's
no,
well, I mean, it has its properties because it's it has aspects of vibranium in it because vibranium is everywhere in Wakanda.
Yeah, like
so that wasn't like, I was like, why is he getting rid of the thing he wanted?
No,
well,
as Andy Serkis was saying, well, there's vibranium just everywhere. That's just the tip. That's just like
the herb is what gives you the superpowers, right? So in Killmonger's mind, he's the last king of Wakanda, so he doesn't want anybody else
to be able to drink.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Right. So,
but Lupita's like hiding some herb, sacred herb seeds. Somewhere,
yeah, sure.
Some new plants. She's hiding them next to the Jedi books that race.
You know what I also appreciated, and I know people, you're probably gonna roll your eyes at this, but like sometimes in some of the superhero films, when no one has a weakness, and so they basically just get into fights until something distracts them and they have to move on. I really loved that, like, his suit had a logic to it, and it builds up a reserve of power, and then he can do this thing, but then he can only do it once, and if he stands too close to this thing, it can create a vulnerability, and I really loved it. Really added a lot more tension to that fight at the end by the train, and I found that really thrilling.
Yeah, what I like about the climax of this film, I mean, you already talked about kind of the nature of putting basically three different action beats all next to each other. What I like is that it's not overlong. There's a lot of people. I know a lot of people really like Winter Soldier a lot. I like Winter Soldier. It's a very strong film. But one of my issues with it is I feel like that final action sequence it's a lot. It takes a while. It's a lot of fighting. It's a lot of like punch fighting between Cap and Bucky. It's like, yeah, all right, they're just punching each other. This one just takes the amount of time I feel like it needs to take. All the characters involved are involved the way they need to be. Everything has a logic to it. Everyone gets their own beat to work with. And yeah, the final battle between Killmonger and T'Challa, it fits the way it needs to. It's not overly extended. It doesn't. If I had to have any qualms with it, it's like there's some action editing stuff that's a little wonky and the CG's a little. But I mean, it's hardly something to complain about when I'm just very happy that it wraps itself up fairly neatly and timely in a movie that's already pretty long.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. There were a couple shots where I was like, "Oh no, hold on that longer." I was like, that's a great image. But yeah, I mean, those are total nitpicks. But and then as long as we're thinking about that moment in the ending and Michael B. Jordan's character, that moment when he's sitting there and he's dying and he's like, can you imagine being a kid living in Oakland believing in fairy tales? I was like,
yeah,
I love this movie.
well, and his line where he says, "Bury me at sea," with I forget the exact line, but I found it very poignant. Aaron, do you remember the line? I mean,
not offhand, not exactly.
Well, he's saying something about like his ancestors knew that it would be better to die than it would be to live in bondage.
That's
exactly,
right. Yeah. Bury me with my ancestors who jumped overboard. Yeah. I mean, again, there's so much going on here that really speaks to Ryan Coogler's specific sensibilities as a storyteller, and I think that the fact that the Marvel folks really just let him tell this story. Now, I got two things out of this. Number one, I mean, you get a sense of what his interests are, where he does want to highlight issues of poverty and things like that. I mean, he is from Oakland, so of course he sets part of it there. But above and beyond that, you can tell he's a Black Panther fan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a movie that's really rooted in the mythology of the character as established in the comics, and I loved that. you know, and you know, the ways in which it did not feel like it. I'm figuring out what I'm trying to say. It didn't need to hedge on what it is. Like it said, this is the world of Black Panther. Take it or leave it.
And to bring it back around to the cast, I think what helps is that it makes it very much an ensemble film as much as it makes it Chadwick Boseman's film. Chadwick Boseman, he's very good here because he's Chadwick Boseman, and he's only had so many roles, and he's already proven to be a very charismatic and kind of regal authority on playing various authority figures. Yeah. But he's surrounded by just a great set of cast members who are all doing a terrific job that Coogler does not, and his writer, his co-writer, and the team involved in this, they don't forget about. No one feels inessential here. Everyone has a character.
True. Yeah.
That is very true, yeah.
Everyone has a character, very much including the female characters, who none of them are just the female character. They're all their own characters, which, in addition to being a film about black representation in major motion picture, is also a film about female representation in a major motion picture.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And it really,
I mean, we got four strong female characters.
Yeah, you have Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, Letitia Wright, and Angela Bassett, for that matter. I mean, and they're all doing their thing here, as much as the rest of the cast is. I mean, everybody's good in this movie.
Yeah.
But none of it calls attention to itself either. It's not about look at Denai Guerrera, the head of the all-female military force. It's just nope, that's how it is. Like that's how it is. Like, and you believe it right away. There's no convincing you. It's nope. She's just tough. Like and
like
funny,
convincingly kicking ass all over the place.
Uh-huh.
What a great image, by the way, too, when they what's his name, Andy Serkis blasts that car and it completely disintegrates, and then you see Lupita Nyong'o in the driver's seat, going down the road.
That car chase is like I feel like I've slighted the action. The action in this movie, especially that whole Bond sequence in the casino that leads to a car chase, is pretty great. Like,
and it's different. It's different from any of these other Marvel flicks.
Like, it feels like Coogler has really taken, what he did with Creed, which had a lot of unbroken shots and what have you. He's applied it, especially to that sequence in particular, where you have this great, this fight in the casino where there's one giant extended take. It's obviously, done with camera trickery, but still looks amazing. And then it leads to this great car chase that has both exciting action stuff that is somewhat different than the standard car chase because of the nature of the suits they're wearing and the vibranium spears and stuff, but also because Andy Serkis is fucking awesome as this villain who loves being a villain. There's no, as opposed to Michael B. Jordan, who has a perfectly serviceable reason for being a villainous character. Andy Serkis just I love being evil. Look how evil I could be. I don't want to have a car chase in silence. Let me turn up music on the soundtrack that will just make this more fun for me. That's just great. It's so I love that. I love that line he has. This isn't a funeral, and he gives him a reason to turn up the Kendrick Lamar soundtrack on the movie all of a sudden. It's great stuff.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny. I just wrote down the Back to the Future 2 reference with the shoes.
Sneakers.
I appreciate that. She's like, yeah, fully automated shoes, like in that old American movie Dad liked.
Yeah, right.
Letitia Wright is great in this movie.
So good.
Well, speaking of Back to the Future, really, what's interesting is the character of Everett K. Ross, who's played by Martin Freeman. In the comics, he was inspired by Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, that tracks. I can see that.
So
yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So you can sort of see the Michael J. Fox version of Everett Ross. Although I thought Martin Freeman was a lot of fun in this. I like I like that they moved him a little bit closer to front and center after Civil War.
I mean, I'm a Martin Freeman fan from The Office days, and so I've been so it's weird. I have no connection to him. He's much older than I am, but I feel like I've had this strange it's great to see this guy succeeding from being Tim from The Office to go to be Watson and in these Hobbit movies and be this giant, international star to some degree. And now he's one of the co-stars of Black Panther, and he plays a real cool cat in this movie. I mean, I know the comics, the Ross character is more of it's the white guy, but here he's he's a cool CIA agent. He's confident, he's funny, he doesn't have to be wowed by superhero stuff. He's okay,
and
it plays well. And when was the last time you saw Martin Freeman like defending himself of a suitcase and like shooting guns at people? It's like that's cool.
Right.
Like
Totally true. Yeah. Brian, other thoughts on the film's story?
No, just that I thought I keep going back to that word Aaron said at the beginning, just fresh. It just felt fresh to me. I felt like I was seeing something. I mean, obviously, it hits beats that are, you could trace to other things, but I just felt like I was watching something new, and that was exciting.
And I think that's one of the best things you can say about it. I mean, it's giving us something in a wrapped up in a blockbuster that gives us a flavor we haven't tasted before.
Mm-hmm.
How about the villain? We didn't talk much about Michael B. Jordan as like the villain's role, and because I think something I was saying earlier on another Black Panther discussion is how like the X-Men, they used Magneto and Professor X's whole dynamic is supposed to kind of resemble Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It's like that's nice. That's a nice appropriation of that. But here's a movie that actually has black people that are very much having that same kind of thinking with Killmonger versus T'Challa as far as how they want to achieve something, what it would mean to them, but the ways they're going about it. And obviously, Killmonger is on the antagonistic side of this. That's very much provocative, and what the result could be if he had his way, it would be very violent. While T'Challa, he's seeking to do things in a more diplomatic manner, and I think that's just great. Just the way it imbues Killmonger with a backstory that you can understand even if you don't agree. That very much plays to what I want to see in a Marvel movie, let alone any movie that has some kind of villain that has to balance being a Bond-like villain and being a relatable person. It's in the level of someone like Zemo in Civil War, where it's not about overplaying how villainous he can be, because I don't think Jordan's performance is all that showy. He's playing a character. It stands out to me, but he's not Loki. He's more of a guy who's it's more understated, and it has real motivations that track for me. Like it's one where I wouldn't necessarily expect Killmonger to become like everyone's favorite Marvel villain and rival Loki, although his hair certainly makes me want to hope that happens. But it's certainly one of the ones I think will get the most respect, because you completely believe why he needs to do the things that he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Michael B. Jordan does is really make his rage palatable, and I like the twist of in the first scene, all we know is the brother betrayed them. Like, we don't know the details behind that, and then we find out in a broader sense what that betrayal means, and it comes from a place of why aren't we helping people? And I mean there's so many intricacies there, right? And again, going back to what I said earlier, the fact that at the end of the day, the fact that they left his son behind rather than acknowledge him and bring him, and because of that mistake, all of this happens. I mean, to me, it's kind of it's the sins of the fathers,
which is very much a theme in Phase 3 of these Marvel movies, between Civil War and Guardians 2 and Thor Ragnarok. I mean, I was tracking this the other day. I was talking.
That's really true. Wow.
I hadn't thought about that.
I was talking to a friend of mine, Scott Mendelson of Forbes. He's a good friend of mine, about this and how Phase 1, it's mostly origin stories. Phase 2 is a lot about how to tackle being a hero now in this new world. And Phase 3 has been a lot about past family transgressions. And so you have the father stuff with Kurt Russell and Guardians. You have Hela and Ragnarok, and you have Tony's the Winter Soldier with Tony Stark's dad. Like, it all really plays into a theme going here. I'm very curious where that ends up in, I guess, the series finale of this piece, when we wrap things up in another Avengers movie or what have you. But no, it's there, and it's like there's a lot of Ragnarok similarities in Black Panther if you look at the stories. I find I mean,
one thing I'll say about both Ragnarok and Black Panther is how much they are representative of the filmmakers' style,
and Guardians for that matter. They're very much James Gunn movies.
Well, and I almost feel like Guardians is what freed up Marvel to let these directors put their mark on it in because you feel like when you look at the Phase 1 movies, like Kenneth Branagh, you don't really see his imprint on Thor. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can look at that as a lesser Marvel movie, but that very much feels like a Branagh movie. It has it has this Shakespearean. I'll put it this way. Yes, it is more generic than say something like Thor Ragnarok. Yes. But I would say watching Thor, not knowing at the time, like, why is Kenneth Branagh directing this? Watching the movie, I was like, I can see why. I can see what he's tapping into.
You can see why he was hired, no doubt.
Yeah,
but I don't know how much of a mark he left on the film above and beyond, like, certain theatrical Shakespearean aspects. You know,
I'd say the best example is Thor Thor the Dark World. The Dark World feels that's the most by the numbers product that Marvel's put out.
Yes.
Is it a bad movie or unenjoyable? That's for anyone to say. I think you would, Zachy. I think you also agree. It's a fun movie, but it's certainly not top tier Marvel.
It's totally fine, but it's entirely forgettable.
It's the one that feels the most like an assembly line. Like,
and I think Alan Taylor would probably agree with you. You know.
Yeah, but then he'd go on to make Terminator Genesis and say he had a much better time on that movie, so whatever. But I don't know what to believe anymore. But no, you're exactly right in as far as Guardians feeling like starting to turn the tide. I would argue that the Avengers films very much feel like Whedon films.
Yes.
But yeah, compared to some of the other ones that have come out of here, Guardians, even Doctor Strange, this feels like a Scott Derrickson film, just the kind of what he's trying to do there. Iron Man 3 is very much a Shane Black movie. I don't think anyone can argue that. Like, I mean, there's a personal stamp here, a lot of filmmaker freedom going on in a studio that's been accused of being more kind of samey than I think is fair.
And that's, there is that tendency of like, oh, well, Marvel is the assembly line, and DC, they're the ones that like let their directors do, just follow their muse. And it's like, well, I mean, let's be fair here and look at the work that that's being put out there, and I mean, it's fairly distinctive. Again, just looking at Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. I mean, Thor Ragnarok is a Taika Waititi movie through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And just as much as this is a Ryan Coogler movie through and through, and you really see their identities represented in these works, and to me, that's what makes both films in very different ways feel more special, because you're getting an insight into the person making the movie.
Yeah, and it's weird to see kind of the argument against that being, well, it's still following a certain kind of pattern. It's like, well, I don't know how these movies just at the end of the day with a superhero movie, there's certain expectations, unless it's some kind of very subversive take on some. Even Deadpool falls into an exact mold of everything you get from every superhero movie. So it's like you need to do, and like Suicide Squad was the worst example, where it's like they're supposed to be villains, and yet there's nothing that indicates they're villainous whatsoever in that movie. Like it's like,
that's so true.
So it's like, you can criticize that if you want to, but it's like, yeah, that's like saying every rom-com needs to have a happy ending. That's not inherently true, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Or,
an action movie needs the hero to succeed at the end. I mean, yeah, you can break it down to basic beats and criticize that, but that's not the point. The point is getting characters you've not seen before, worlds you haven't seen before, visual effects that are stunning to look at, acting performances you can't, like, it's about the journey, not the destination. And the more we look at the effort being put into some of these, not every single one of them, obviously, none of these films are, or not every one of these films is like a home run necessarily, but there's far more effort going on in a lot of these Marvel movies than gets credit. When you want to hold up like, well, Zack Snyder got to make a very Zack Snyder looking movie. Well, it's like, has that gone well? Like, it's led to massive debates, questionable box office success, and the firing of people. Like, I don't know what I'm coming out of there. Like, I can appreciate things about some of those movies, but I can't compare it by that means, because it doesn't speak to me very much when I'm hearing about micromanagement on the part of a lot of these superhero movies.
Yeah, Brian, any other thoughts on Black Panther?
No, just I think most people are gonna go out and have a ball with it. So,
well, There we go.
It's gonna be. We're gonna definitely see that with box office this weekend and
Yeah,
tangibly.
I think the movie's going to play, and I think we'll be hearing about Black Panther 2 Monday morning. You know, they'll be announcing it, and Kevin Feige has said he'd love to have Ryan Coogler come back. I think they'd be silly not to get him locked in as soon as possible. And I think it's very exciting. I think the fact that we are winding down the original MCU cast members, Robert Downey is presumably got one foot out the door, as do the various Chris's, but I mean, we got Black Panther is pointing the way towards what can be happening for Phase 4 and beyond with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm very excited to see what happens next.
The worst. And that, the worst thing I don't want to see is Thanos just destroying all of Wakanda. Like, that's gonna piss me off.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know what I think is kind of cool is the movie ends with via the mid credit scene where T'Challa says we're gonna reveal ourselves to the world, essentially. And when you think about it, I mean, Wakanda is the most advanced country on the planet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and what that does is really it shines a new light on what we're seeing of Wakanda in the trailers for Infinity War, which is that this is the front line in the war against Thanos. So I mean, the world is sort of relying on Wakanda, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, I just hope it takes place in the plains of Wakanda, not the cities.
Not in the city.
If the movie opens with like Thanos crashing Asgard into like every skyscraper of Wakanda, it's like, oh god.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, we will find out. We will be seeing the Black Panther next in just a few short months.
I know, right?
So that's pretty crazy.
Get this man his shield.
That's right. So with that, we will put a pin on this discussion. I want to thank you, Aaron, for coming on and talking about the movie with us. I really appreciated hearing your point of view.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no, thank you both for having me on again. I was very happy to talk about this movie. Like, it helps that it's good, because I've been very excited about it, but it helps that it's not only good but getting like universal praise. So it's like, oh, okay, good. But yeah, it's very cool to talk about, especially to just get into what this. I didn't get into too much, but like what this movie really means. I mean, yeah. I can't say that, now we'll get black movies and Asian movies and Latino, we're not, I'm not saying the gates are going to be open, but it's not going to hurt to see a movie, a predominantly black cast made by black filmmakers open to like $200 million this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens next. Maybe you can come on again and talk about the next MCU movie with us.
Yeah. Yeah, we will. We will see what happens, but I'd certainly be more than willing to lend some thoughts.
Well, where can people find more from you?
You can find me talking plenty as well over on my own podcast, Out Now with Aaron and Abe. I co-host that show with my friend Abe and I. We talk about the latest movie releases, and do commentary tracks every month as well. A lot of fun on that show. I write for a couple of sites. You can find all of that writing, the links to those reviews that I put up at my personal blog, thecodeofzeke.com. And you can find me on Twitter at AaronsPS4.
There you go. And man, I got to give it up to you guys. You put a show out every week, plus the commentaries. Man, I mean, for me and Brian, it's like we can barely stand spending, the few hours a month that we talk to each other. This past 2 hours was brutal for us, me and Brian.
And we don't even, once we sign off, our handlers deal with the rest. Like, we don't even talk.
It's true.
Oh yeah, we've outsourced the labor of editing these shows to both Brian's 13-year-old intern and two of Zachy's children. So it's made it a lot smoother of a process for us.
My kids are literally like, are you on a podcast again today? Like, they do that now.
Really?
Yeah. They're being little shits these days, yeah.
Funny.
It's not fun.
Well, just sit them down to watch Good Will Hunting. Well,
That's
and
It was your fault.
fast forward to the scene where you lay out the belts or the crowbar. What does he say? What does he say?
it's a belt, a wrench, and
a wrench. Yeah,
and something else.
The response to that is so great. Or like Robin Williams is like, oh, so you took the belt? He's like, oh, the wrench. Why? Because fuck him. That's why.
Yeah.
it's such a great
right.
like Matt Damon moment. I love that a lot.
Yeah, I remember. This is a total tangent, but like
we were going to talk about Good Will Hunting for another 30 minutes right now.
I could do it too. No, like sometime last year, you know, when Sean Spicer was like just saying all kinds of bullshit when he would get up in front of the press podium. So it became like a Twitter trending thing, Sean Spicer facts.
Uh-huh.
And it's just things that are obviously not true. And so I was posting a few of those. And one of the things I posted that final shot from Good Will Hunting. And then the Sean Spicer fact was, it is your fault. And I thought that was pretty funny. And somebody on Twitter who followed me was like, you're making light of child abuse. That's not okay. And they got real pissed at me. And
I remember this.
I think I told you about this, right, Brian?
Yeah.
I was like, and this person unfollowed and blocked me. I was like, wow.
Well, it's a good thing you weren't making fun of allergies.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, right.
What is it? The Peter Rabbit thing, right?
The Peter Rabbit thing, yes.
Ugh. People like to get offended. What can you do?
Yeah.
Regardless, Brian, where can people find you?
You can find me. I write for a show called Puppy Dog Pals, which is on Disney and Disney Junior. And if you have young kids or you love puppies going on adventures, I say check it out. You'll enjoy it.
There you go. And as for me, you can find me at my website, Zackie'sCorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. That's also my Twitter handle. That's also my Instagram. You can also look for a brand new episode of the Nostalgia Theater Show coming up later this month, featuring my interview with Mike Farrell, talking about the final episode of MASH and his time playing BJ Honeycutt on that long-lived show. As far as the Movie Film Show, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. Please, if you dig what we're doing, go to iTunes and hit subscribe and leave us a review, leave us a star rating. Every little bit helps, and we love hearing from you. And with that in mind, on behalf of my partner Brian Hall and our guest Aaron Neuwirth, my name is Zachy Hassan. This has been Movie Film 140. We will catch you next time. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and